everyone and welcome to the sewing tutorial. My name is Petra and I'm the founder of Ekossi Sewing Patterns, and today we will make together the Mykonos set. These pants are definitely my favorite summer piece and I hope you will love them as well. And here is everything we will need to complete this project. A fabric. My number one recommendation would be a silk. I think this outfit looks beautiful with this fabric. In a case you don't want to use silk, I would suggest to use at least some light fabric. Next, a thread in a similar color, pins, including a safety pin, measuring tape, scissors, 4 cm wide elastic band, a sewing machine, an iron, a tape for the pattern and the pattern itself. I will link below the website where you can download it from, and we can now move on to the print of the pattern. Once you get your pattern, you receive multiple documents. One is the instruction material. You don't need to print this one, but I would recommend to read it anyway, as it should include all the essential information, including the size table. There are 3 different available formats: A0, A4 and the US letter. Select the one that is the most suitable for you. A0, unless you have a special printer, can be only printed in a copy shop. US letter format is mostly used in the US, and A4 is the most common format used, for instance, in the Europe. I'm printing my pattern in an A4. Select your size and then click on Print. When printing the pattern, I would recommend to print the first page first and make sure that the scale is set to 100%. Once printed, measure the square and make sure that it has 5 cm or 2 inches, and then print the rest of the pages. Working with the pattern should be quite easy, as this pattern is trimless. We will be using the dotted lines as a guideline, as well as the indicators in each corner. The indicators should navigate us towards the next page. Look for matching numbers and letters and simply lay the paper on top of them directly on the dotted line. And continue the process until you run out of the paper, and then tape it together. Before you cut the pattern based on your size, there is one more thing that needs to be done. Make a measurement of your bust area and capture the result. And then make a measurement from your waist down and identify your desired length of the pants. Make sure you are measuring from the side to include your hips in the final length. As the shape of the pants is curved, they optically look shorter. I personally like to have the longest part of the pants quite long, maybe approximately 1 cm above the ground, but this really depends on your preference. My bust measurement is 85 cm, which is somewhere in between the defined measurements. Therefore, I added a new line to the pattern, and I added a half a centimeter from the blue dotted line. Even though the difference is 1 cm, we are only adding half, because this top piece will be cut on fold, and therefore the length will double. Add a line with your measurement or use one of the existing lines. For the pants, my desired length is 97 cm. On the pattern itself, I already tried to predefine the final length. This is calculated based on the full length of the pattern, minus the adjustments that we will do on the fabric during the sewing process. I added 2 cm from the 95 cm mark, and I replicated the shape by going smaller. Add a line with your measurement or use one of the existing lines. Once this is done, we can cut the pattern based on our measurements. On the pattern pieces, you will notice an arrow. This arrow should run in parallel with the direction of the wave of the fabric, also known as the grain of the fabric. If you don't cut these pattern pieces along the grain, the fabric may stretch or warp. And if you see a fold symbol, make sure that when cutting the fold part, the pattern matches the fold on the fabric. Silk has a good and a bad side. By a good side, I mean the side of the clothing that will be visible once you wear it. The good side is more shiny than the bad one. I would recommend that when you are cutting the pants pieces, put the fabric on fold with the good side facing each other, and therefore you will cut both of the pieces in one go. Also, pin the pattern and the fabric together before cutting. 1 cm of a sewing allowance is already included, so you can just cut directly alongside the pattern. While cutting the pieces, you will also notice a small notch mark. Use a pencil to draw a small mark on your fabric to know where exactly the notch is. Once done, you should have 2 equal pieces of the shirt cut on fold, a string, and 2 front and 2 back pieces of the pants. Let's start with the pants. Unpin the back part of the pants and make sure that the good sides are facing. As I mentioned previously, the fabric that I'm using has a good and a bad side. But it is not that visible, and since I will be referring to a good and a bad side quite often in this video, I will mark the bad side with an X. For the bottom piece, the bad side is right now facing the table, and for the piece that is on top, the bad side is facing us. Once both of the back parts are nicely aligned, pin the entire crotch area like this, and then do the exact same thing with the front pants pieces. Match them with the good sides facing and pin the same section. We will now sew the pinned areas with a straight line stitching. Set up your sewing machine and make sure that you select the straight line stitching from the stitching options. Put the pinned part under the needle and make sure that there is a 1 cm of a sewing allowance in between the needle and the end of a fabric. Don't forget to do some back and front stitching on the beginning as well as on the end to secure the seams, and sew with a straight line. Repeat the same also for the other pinned part. Now, before we overlock the seams, iron the seams open. I would recommend to always iron the seams open, as the final product then looks much more professional, nicer and cleaner. Next, we will overlock the seams. Use an overlock machine or change the setting on your sewing machine to any of the zigzag options. Put the pinned part we have just ironed under the needle and try to sew in a way that one zig goes inside of the fabric and the other one slightly out. And here is how it looks like. We can continue with the other part. Now put the back piece of the pants down with the good side facing us. You can always recognize the back part by looking at the crotch area. The shape should be bigger than on the front piece. And with a good side down and a bad side facing us, lay down the front piece directly on top of the back piece. Pin the seams on the crotch area and the seams on the top just to ensure that the pants are secured in the middle. And then pin the side on the inside of the pants all the way down. Once done, you should have this entire area pinned together. As the next step, we will sew with a straight line all the pinned parts. Don't forget to change the setting on your sewing machine back to the straight line and start with the sewing. We will again iron the seams open first and then overlock them. Change the setting to the zigzag and overlock all the previously ironed parts. The side on the inside of the pants is now done, and we will work on the side on the outside. With the bed side facing us, start at the bottom of the pants and fold the fabric up approximately half a centimeter and then fold it again, ensuring a clean finish since the sides of the pants will not be stitched together. Use an iron when pressing the folded part. It might be easier to work with the fabric. This part of the project might be quite challenging, as silk is very light fabric and it is quite difficult to work with, so we need to be super patient when folding. It is even more difficult because of the shape of the pants. Cut few notches or small triangles to get rid of some fabric on the curves. The first leg is now done, and because I ran out of good pins, I will now sew with a straight line as close to the folded edge as possible. If you have difficulties going straight, just slow down. And once done, repeat the exact same thing also on the other leg. Now we will work on the top part of the pants, or in other words, the waist area. Make sure that the front bed side of the pants is facing you. And right now, take the end of the back part and match the notch from the inside like this. Pin it together to secure it. And now, pin the end of the front piece to the back piece from the outside, just like this. The distance should be the distance between the notch and the end of the fabric, so just straighten the fabric and pin it on the end, so the fabric that is overlapping is not wrinkled. Repeat the same also on the other side. Pin the back part to the front notch from the inside and the front end to the back from the outside. Right now, we will sew with a straight line to overlap the back and front parts together, so it's easier to work with them. Measure and mark 8 cm and try to sew directly on the previously sewed area, and stop on the 8 cm mark. Repeat 3 more times for all the parts where the fabric is overlapping. Now, we will create a casing for the elastic on the top part of the pants. This will be a finishing touch before we insert the elastic in. Fold the fabric approximately half a centimeter and then fold it again. The second fold should be wide enough for the elastic to fit in and sew around. Since my elastic is 4 cm wide, I will fold it approximately 4.3 cm. Continue folding around the entire waist. Now, with a straight line stitching, we will sew all around as close to the edge as possible, and we will leave a small opening for the elastic to fit in. With the edge of the folded part under the needle, start with the sewing. On the sections where the back and front pieces overlap, just make sure that the parts are straight, and don't forget to leave the opening for the elastic. Next, take your 4 cm wide elastic and measure and cut a piece that sits comfortably around your waist. Add a little more to have some additional room for sewing the elastic together. It is always better to start with looser band instead of being too tight. Then take a safety pin and attach it to one of the ends of the elastic and use it to feed the elastic into the casing we just made. Once done, make sure that the elastic didn't twist on the way and stitch the two ends together like this. Now would be the time to try the pants on. Make sure that the elastic is tight enough, and if everything fits well, close the opening on the top. Just make sure that the elastic is not under the needle when sewing. And the pants are now complete. We can now move on to the top. Match the two top pieces and make sure that the good sides are facing each other. I will again mark the bad sides with an X. Pin the top and the bottom parts together. And then sew with a straight line both of the pinned parts. Next, take the string and start folding it in half all the way. Just make sure that when folding, the good sides are facing. That means that the good side is invisible now. Sew with the straight line all the way down. Trim the sewing allowance. Now take a safety pin or any tool that you have and turn the string the good side out. I'm using a loop turner and I would really recommend this tool. I think you can buy it almost anywhere for a few euros. Once done, fold the endings 2 times just to ensure a nice and clean finish, and sew with a straight line multiple times around it. Then, take the main top part and turn it the good side out. Right now, it doesn't matter which side is facing us as both of them are equal. Take one end and fold the fabric approximately half a centimeter and then fold it again. The second fold should be wide enough for the string to fit in and sew around. Pin it in place and repeat the same also for the other end. And then sew with a straight line as close to the folded edge of the fabric as possible. Now take the string and feed it into the casing we just made. And just like that, the top is also done and the project is now complete. I hope you had fun while sewing, but even more I hope that you will enjoy wearing it. In case you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.